Additional lesson. My introduction to Jim on Craigslist was quite memorable. At the end of the day, Jim was nothing special, but he was kind and respectful to me, and that is always very important to me. About a month after that first meeting, I got a message from Jim. He said he was back in town and wanted to meet me the next night. He asked me to come early so we could spend more time together since I lived at home and couldn't stay overnight. The pleasant memories of our previous encounter prompted me to justify myself to my boyfriend, and less than 24 hours later, I was knocking on his hotel room door. Since it was late spring, I wore a short denim skirt. The top wasn't see-through, but it was flimsy and thin. It was typical of me. Jim answered and immediately hugged and kissed me as we stood at the entrance to the room. He complimented me on my outfit. He poured me a glass of white wine, and we moved to the sofa by the window. It was early evening, and the light came in through the open blinds. He didn't seem in such a hurry this time, which I appreciated. As we chatted, trying to catch up, his hand rested on my bare leg, gently stroking my thighs. The wine was sweet, and I drank it rather quickly, as it tasted more like a fruity drink. He quickly refilled my glass. The wine loosened me up. He said he missed me and had been thinking about me a lot over the last month. I smiled and said I had too, but I didn't tell him that I had been thinking about him for other reasons. It reminded me of the children's story about the little steam train that could do everything. He pulled out a camera and asked, "Do you mind if I take some pictures as a souvenir?" I hate having my picture taken. I knew from previous boyfriends that pictures meant naked shots. "Come on, just a few. You look so adorable." He quickly moved away from the couch and started snapping before I could respond. He took a few shots of me on the couch and then asked me to stand up and slowly take them off. I playfully teased him. I felt like a guilty pleasure, and my slutty side was showing. Besides, I felt a little obligated, since he'd given me a generous gift the last time we'd met. "Yeah, I like your breasts," he replied with a wide grin, taking my hand and helping me stand up. "There's a light by the window." He gestured to the window. "Not the face?" I asked. Jim didn't respond to my request. I playfully started modeling for him, being photographed by a guy. It's great foreplay. "These are private photos, right? You're not going to show them to anyone, are you?" "Of course not. They are for my eyes only," he assured me. "Click, click, click," he continued. I tried to hide my face behind my hair or look away from the camera as much as I could, but I knew he wanted to see my face in his pictures. "Bend over, turn, on your heels," he snapped furiously. I whispered in his ear, "I'm fucking... Put the camera down." I put one arm around him. Oh, hell yeah. He tensed, pushing in hard. He smelled nice and was soft and plump to cuddle with. As we lay in bed and recovered, the hotel phone on the bedside table rang. James picked up the phone. "Hello. Yup. Okay. Bye." "Is everything okay?" I asked. "Yeah. Are you okay?" He smiled back. "That'll happen once you're solid again." I laughed. A few minutes later, there was a knock on the door. I looked at Jim and he said, "Your surprise is here." "Oh, I love surprises," I replied, wondering if it was room service. Jim got up and put on his hotel robe, heading for the door. I ran to the bathroom to wash up for dinner. I jumped in the shower and washed quickly, being careful not to get my hair and makeup wet. As I was wiping myself dry, I heard voices. I thought it was Jim turning on the TV. Wrapping the towel around me, I opened the door and went into the bedroom. What the hell? I wrapped my arms around my chest, pulling the towel tighter with embarrassment and shock. There was another man sitting on the couch with Jim. "What is... I couldn't form a sentence. "Relax. This is a colleague of mine. I told him about our arrangement, and he asked if you'd be interested in... extend the deal for him." I stood there half naked and wet with these two guys standing in front of me. I was being offered I don't know what. "A prostitute." He stood up. "Look, I'm sorry, I thought James explained everything. I have $200 for you, but obviously, if you're not interested," he mumbled. "Can I?" Between the two of them, that would be, a lot of money. Hell, it was tempting. It was something like 2 months of part-time work. Still a little embarrassed and humiliated, I couldn't find the words. "What? You want to join us?" As soon as the words left my mouth, I realized that it sounded more like a suggestion than an incomprehensible question. I was just trying to make sense of the situation, as I had no idea what they were thinking. He looked at Jim. "I don't mind threesomes," Jim said. The other guy smiled. "If you're okay with it," he said to me, "I'm okay with it." I was still in shock, looking at the smiling Jim. I didn't know what to say or do. Remember, I was very timid back then and always avoided confrontation. Catching my hesitation, he said, "I'll give you $300. Okay. I shrugged, thinking, did I really just make a great deal? "Paul," he said, unbuttoning his shirt. Jim must have read my thoughts. He handed me another glass of wine and put his arm around my shoulders. I don't think I've ever drunk wine so fast. Jim squeezed me tightly in his arms, making me feel safe and secure. Then he spun me around and hugged me from behind. As he hugged me, he started nibbling on my neck. I let my head drop to his shoulders. I felt the towel loosen and start to slide off. Paul stood in front of me and watched as Jim slowly pulled the towel off of me, letting it fall to the floor. He showed me to his friend Paul. "No shit," Paul muttered approvingly. I reached behind him and slipped my hand under Jim's robe while Paul watched me stroke him. Staring at him, I licked my lips, and he realized what it was all about. "She's good," he said, looking at Jim. Their looks were in agreement. While Paul pawed at me and watched, Jim went on. Paul was happy to let Jim's thrusts do all the work. He was thrusting in as hard as he could. I could feel his hands on my thighs. I was covered in sweat. "Yes, more, yes, more, yes, more, yes, more." I was on edge. His breath was hot and heavy on my neck as he leaned against me, exhausted. I kissed and cuddled with Paul and Jim as we lay in bed, completely exhausted. After about 15 minutes, both men started touching me. I felt it would be wise for me to leave before they tensed up and started again. Remember, I suspected that Jim was taking Viagra, so he could probably make it through the night. I got to my feet, but my legs could barely hold me up. Paul jumped up to help me. The wine had turned my legs to rubber. I could feel the juice draining out of me as I headed for the shower. Paul adjusted the water temperature and then stepped into the shower with me. He hugged me from behind as we both soaped and scrubbed our bodies. The warm water felt wonderful as it cascaded over me. As I walked through the hotel lobby, I felt ashamed of myself. I could not believe what had just happened. I was overcome with guilt, no doubt brought on by my religious upbringing. I acted and felt bad, very bad. I was even treated like a night butterfly. What was wrong with me? I told myself never again. It wasn't me. Dear viewers, the story we have just told is a complex weave of choices, relationships, and personal boundaries. At the center of this story is a personal experience that makes us reflect on the importance of respect, self-esteem, and the importance of saying no when necessary. This story reminds us that every choice has consequences, and the importance of accepting those consequences while maintaining respect for ourselves and our boundaries. I'd also like to remind you that an uncensored version of this story is already available on our Patreon. This is not only a way to dive deeper into the narrative, but also an opportunity to support our channel by allowing us to create content that speaks to difficult and important topics. Remember that each of us faces moments of choice, and sometimes those moments can determine our future. Be yourself, respect yourself and your boundaries, and don't be afraid to say no when necessary. Your support makes our work possible, and we are grateful for everyone who joins us on this journey at Patreon. Thank you for your attention, and see you for more stories.